Good afternoon, Perseverance Pioneers. Welcome back to the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, live from the famous Dialogue Den, where truth meets challenge and where clarity can still be found in a world clouded by noise. I am your host, John Zadzura, and today's episode isn't just a follow-up on our recent deep dive into rare earth warfare, the financial Cold War we find ourselves in, or the artificial intelligence arms race between the United States and the shifting balance towards China. No, today is a wake-up call because while the world watches the surface wars over islands, summits on trade, and the race for AI dominance, something far more dangerous is happening in the shadows. A war you can't see. A war that isn't fought with bullets or bombs, but with keyboards, algorithms, and lines of code. This is the story of the financial Cold War and China's digital war towards the United States. And just days ago, the war became very, very clear. On July 3rd, 2025, at a Milan airport, Italian authorities, in coordination with U.S. federal agents, arrested a man, a 33-year-old Chinese national, not a spy in a traditional sense, not in general, not a diplomat, but a contract hacker on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, a man accused of launching one of the largest cyber espionage campaigns in modern history directly under China's Ministry of State Security. That's right. All these episodes we've been having about China, the financial Cold War, the trade war barrier we're having with them, everything that's been happening with the United States and China and that whole policy. So recently, the Department of Justice alleges that this man was a part of a group known as Hafnium, a name that whispered in the halls of every major cybersecurity firm in the world. They say this man helped infiltrate more than 60,000 American organizations. You heard me correctly, 60,000 American organizations, including U.S. universities, U.S. medical labs, U.S. law firms, and critical infrastructure. Can't make this stuff up. His mission: to steal, to surveil, and to sabotage. In our last episode, we were talking about how the Chinese Communist Party was using the tools of artificial intelligence and wants to be first in many of these ways. They're doing this right now, currently, without AI. Imagine if they were to win the AI arms race with the United States. Not a direction, and not something I personally want to see where they would take this if they were to win the AI arms race against the United States. All on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. They are doing these actions now, sabotaging, surveilling, stealing. We've talked in many episodes of the intellectual property theft of China on American businesses. But here's where it gets even darker, if it's possible. The Department of Justice says this man specifically targeted U.S. COVID-19 research in 2020 at the very peak of the global pandemic. Folks, you can't get any more real than this. While American scientists worked around the clock to save lives, men like this Chinese national, and his team of hackers were stealing their work and breaking into medical inboxes, downloading proprietary vaccine research, and funneling it back to Beijing. Surprise, surprise. This wasn't just a cyber crime. This was biological warfare with digital means in coding and in cyber. The United States government calls him prolific. I call it what it is, a soldier in a new kind of war towards the U.S. And now, thanks to international cooperation, he's behind bars in Italy, facing extradition to the United States. But the question is, how many more like him are out there? If this is just one man that ran a group of hackers, imagine what an entire government or department dedicated to doing similar actions, if not worse, towards an adversary of the United States. So how many more are still in our servers, our systems, stealing our secrets and secretly working in the shadows while we sleep? So in this episode, we're going to go beyond the headlines. We're going to go beyond the Department of Justice's memo talking about the arrest of this man and what we unpack what the arrest of this man, this national, truly means. We follow the trail from Milan to Houston to the hidden corridors of the Chinese state-backed cyber warfare units. We'll look at groups like APT-27, ISUN, and Hafnium blur the lines between military espionage and tech for hire warfare. We'll dive into how China uses AI not for innovation, but for control, surveillance, and infiltration, just what we were talking in our last episode. Surprise, surprise. And we'll ask the uncomfortable questions. Is the U.S. falling behind in invisible arms race, in this AI arms race? Is our open internet our greatest strength or our biggest vulnerability? Thinking in terms of cyber. And are we prepared to fight a war in addition to the financial Cold War we're in, where there is no physical battlefield, but it's all digital and it's a war of algorithms, really. Perseverance pioneers, this isn't about fear. It's about understanding what's happening behind the curtain, because in this world, you either stay aware or you get exploited. The next great conflict may not start with a missile, but with a cybersecurity breach. So let's begin. So picture this. This is how this arrest went down. Picture this. It's early July at Milan airport. A young man, just 33 years old, walks through passport control. He's not a tourist. He's not a businessman. He's a Chinese cybersecurity contractor, allegedly working under the direct control of Shanghai's State Security Bureau, part of China's notorious Ministry of State Security. But what he doesn't know is this. The United States Department of Justice is waiting for his arrival. Within hours, Italian authorities acting on a U.S. arrest warrant take him right into custody. The charges, a 9-count indictment accusing him of one of the most notorious cyber espionage campaigns in recent memory. According to the Department of Justice, he led a string of attacks from February of 2020 to June of 2021, targeting universities, critical infrastructure, and even COVID-19 research labs, you guessed it, in the United States. So this man, this 33-year-old national, wasn't acting alone. He was part of a cyber operation known as Hafnium. This group is directly linked to China's intelligence services, infamously exploited 4 zero-day vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange servers. And if that sounds technical, here's the bottom line. They cracked open the back doors to tens of thousands of American email accounts. That's what they did in plain English. They planted web shells, malicious code, and that allowed them to silently read, download, and destroy sensitive information. And you remember in our podcast launch, we had our expert in all things tech and cybersecurity, Michael Pilch. We'll have to bring him back into the mix. I'm sure Michael would love to discuss something like this. And the FBI estimated over 60,000 entities were affected worldwide. Law firms, NGOs, tech firms, city governments, and the U.S. even had to launch a court-approved operation to remove the malware from infected servers. A first-of-its-kind digital surgical strike. In plain English, financial war. Financial war. Not a battlefield, but with streams of coding. But the story gets darker, if you can imagine. According to the indictment, his team specifically targeted researchers working on COVID-19 vaccines and treatment. He infiltrated American universities, especially in Texas, and accessed the inboxes of biologists and immunologists out there. Why? To steal medical research and hand it to the Chinese state. This wasn't industrial espionage. This was biological warfare through cyber means. While scientists in Houston and above were going basically above and beyond and working 18-hour days to try to save lives, hackers were breaking in digitally, stealing their work, and sending it to, you guessed it, China, to set up the leap ahead. So who is this Chinese national? He's a contract hacker, of course, for a Chinese tech firm called Wuhan Science and Technology Company, known as PowerRock. But make no mistake, this isn't just some freelancer chasing Bitcoin. We're long past that. According to the Department of Justice, he worked directly under the direction of Chinese intelligence. The operation wasn't random, it was systematic, coordinated, and of course, funded. And now, thanks to international cooperation, he's sitting in an Italian jail cell waiting for extradition back to the United States. So we thank our Italian counterparts and law enforcement of Italy, of the great fine men and women of Italy's law enforcement, for having him in that jail cell, waiting for him to come back to the U.S. And this arrest could spark diplomatic shockwaves. We're already in this financial Cold War. Imagine if this type of thing keeps happening. Italy, balancing U.S. and Chinese alliances, made a very bold move by cooperating with the Department of Justice. Beijing is furious already, as it just happened. Chinese state media is calling the arrest politically motivated. They claim this national is just a misunderstood IT contractor. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't. They'll never admit to it. But we've seen this pattern before over many years, maybe not to this scale, but it's happening more and more. Every time the U.S. calls out China for cyber theft, from the OPM breach to the Equifax to Nordal, it's the same story: denial, deflection, accusation. And yet the evidence keeps mounting by the day, the month, the year. The real question is now, what comes next? We're already in this financial Cold War and this tariff battle with China. America's cyber defenses are improving, but are they fast enough? The CHIPS Act, AI task forces, and cyber defense units are working around the clock, of course, and we applaud them for all their efforts, but China's playing the long game. They're not playing the 10-year game, they're playing the 100-year game, and they're using everything from state-backed media hackers to AI-powered intrusion tools to stay ahead. Remember, we're not just talking about stealing secrets here. We're talking about disrupting power grids, hijacking satellites, even shutting down hospitals. This is next level warfare. This is the battlefield of the 21st century, plain and simple. So here's what keeps me up at night, as well as a lot of our Perseverance pioneers. As AI evolves, will we lose control of the digital weapons we've built to competitors and nations like China? The U.S. still has values: privacy, transparency, human rights. China, not so much. Their surveillance state runs AI, and they're exploiting that model to other regimes. Will America need to fight fire with fire here? Or can we hold the phone, build the smarter, and still preserve freedom in the process? This is a tightrope that's like a razor's edge. Perseverance pioneers, we're in a new kind of warfare. We're already engaged in this financial Cold War with China. We're in this tariff war, and one without uniforms or borders, one where the most dangerous weapons are unseen. They're not tanks on a battlefield. They're not bombs being dropped from B-24 bombers. The arrest of this national is a win, but it's only the beginning. So here's some challenges for this week. Question some of the apps you trust and have on your phone. Learn about where exactly your data goes. And remember, democracy requires vigilance, especially in the digital age. So until next time, I'm your host, John Zadzura. This is the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, where courage meets clarity and the future belongs to the informed. Be sure to subscribe, like and subscribe, and tag us. And also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, X, at the Perseverance Mindset Podcast. Stay sharp, stay aware, and always never give up. Have a great day.